Fields comp, not for play style, but for if you look at the way his season went last year. Started off a little bit shaky at the beginning of the year. They stuck with him. They believed in the talent. And then all of a sudden, he kind of had one breakout game. And by the end of the year, it's like, wow, this guy could take a huge leap in his second year. I think I would love to see that for Howell. And I think
I
Pop, how you doing, man?
doing good. A lot of pre-gaming this week. I don't know. We might be over-prepared.
Yeah, we had to get ready. There was a lot of tossing around of ideas. It was good. It was a nice collaborative, open-minded session, going back and forth, figuring out what we're doing here. It's always important to prepare for the people, especially when we've got the amount of commenters checking in and just ready to jump at any moment. I gotta say, I love it personally.
Me
I don't know
too.
how you feel about
Bring
it.
it. I mean, we're hearing
Yeah,
from
I love it.
Giants fans, Cowboys fans, Eagles fans, of course, Commanders fans, and we're thinking in future pods, mailbag segments. So keep those comments going. We love it.
Definitely,
We just I
definitely.
did
There were
this pod's just too jam packed for a mailbag, but maybe one pod a month if we keep the comments going. If you got a question you want us to answer or a topic you think would be good, put it in there. Love all the comments.
Definitely, yeah. It's been a blast going back and forth with some of y'all in the comment section, chopping it up, just like reminding everybody, like, hey, you know, Daniel Jones has a better playoff win percentage than Dak Prescott. I hate to break it to you, it's just a fact. Like little stuff like that. It's always fun, kind of chirping back and forth, especially as a Commanders fan. We're kind of out of it,
Hey,
unfortunately. They can't
I
win,
always say to
you know.
people say you got a podcast. Say yeah. Say you don't even have to listen to it. Just subscribe and hit play.
There
Could
you
be on
go.
silent in the background. If you
There
comment,
you
even
go.
better. You know.
There you go.
I mean,
I love that.
I'm sorry, Giants and Eagles and Cowboys fans. I don't think we're going to always agree with you, but we
Believe it or
appreciate the
not,
listen.
hey, we're big Dak Prescott fans over here. I tell you what, I love having Dak over
Don't
there.
say
I
that.
love
It'll
having
get
Daniel Jones in
misinterpreted
place.
again.
Oh no, it's great. It's so good for my personal interest and what I want to happen to the Cowboys. It's awesome. So yeah, with that being said, guys, don't forget we actually
Look
just
at the
broke.
comments if that comment confused you, and you'll understand.
Yeah, jump back to last week, watch the video, pay attention and listen to what we said, and then read the comments and see what's going on. But all love to the gentleman in those comments, of course. But guys,
Absolutely.
by the way, thank you so much. Hit 200 subscribers last week. Super excited. It's a milestone. But tell you what, we're not stopping. So you're here, you're watching us. We're getting way more than 200 views a week. We're getting 3, 5, 6 times that most of the time. So what are we doing here? Why aren't we subscribing? What's going on? This
Stand up
is
a little bit, son. Stand up for a sec. We might put those t-shirts on sale soon. Just saying. Custom made. Be
might have
ready.
to start shelling them out. We'll see. But guys, please be ready on that subscribe button so you can stay up to date with all those notifications and know when that kind of stuff is coming out. We've been talking, there might be some limited drops throughout the season of t-shirts and stuff like that, trying to make some stuff happen. So we're going to get into it here. We're going to talk pretty much everybody's favorite topic every offseason. We're going to talk some quarterback tiers. CBS Sports put out an article this week. And, of course, we're going to go through all of them. And then we're also going to talk about, where do our boys belong? I think at the end of it, we'll probably look at where do we think everybody shakes out. What do we agree with? What do we disagree with? So let's get right into it. So tier one, the big three. The big three. That's already a giveaway right there. There's only 3 guys in this tier, believe it or not. So tier one, the big three.
So did you
got
set
Patrick.
this up that this is the CBS Sports quarterback tiers?
I did. Were you listening, or were you hanging out with the Cowboys
Fair.
fan from last week?
I think I was
ready to
getting.
jump in
I
the
think I was
comments.
getting dialed in. I was guilty of thinking of that next thing. Okay, my bad.
Damn, Pop, you sure you're not wearing silver and blue over there?
Hey, I might have had a rum and coke at dinner. I might have. I
Yeah.
might not have. We'll see.
Couple drinks in, and your listening and comprehension skills revert to Dallas, Texas.
Go
That's what
Jays
I'm
time.
seeing. Yes, sir. So the big three. I'll explain it to you, Pop, because I know it's taking you a second. That means there's 3 quarterbacks in this tier. In
Got
the
it.
big
Come
3.
on, move
You
on.
got it?
I don't want
All
people to
right.
click off.
So we got Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, and Josh Allen in the big 3 there. There's only 3 guys in that tier. I think we can't disagree with any of those guys being in that group. I think that's
Yeah.
definitely pretty clear. The elite of the elite, just the best guys. I think a pretty standout quote from this part is, if your team has one of these 3 guys, you believe that the Super Bowl is winnable even if things go wrong for your franchise. I think that's a big thing, just a testament to how great those guys are. Tier 2. I mean, Pop, do you have anything you disagree with about that placement? I think those 3 guys are clearly the best of the best. Tier 2 could join them next year. So this is basically the idea of these guys are really great. They have that level of talent, but there's something missing, whether it's resume, longevity, being able to stay healthy, etc. And in this tier, we have Justin Herbert, Lamar Jackson, Trevor Lawrence, and Jalen Hurts. Now, Pop, I'll give you the floor first. How do you feel about this?
Well, we talked about it. We did QB rankings. I got to think Jalen Hurts, sorry, not Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's your boy. Jalen Hurts should get bumped up to that elite of the elite. I know that the argument might be he only did it for 1 season, but what a season. And does anybody have any doubt on him? So I think if Josh Allen's up there, Jalen's got to be up there. That's my complaint. I kind of want to bump Lamar up, but I guess you can't have too many people up in that tier. And maybe because of this last season, which definitely I would say was overall a down year. I could understand him being in the could join them next year tier, but definitely I think Jalen's got to be bumped up there. Otherwise, I don't have a real problem with the list.
Yeah, I would definitely like to bump Jalen Hurts up to tier 1. Like I said, I mean, I had him ranked, I think, number 2 when we did our quarterback rankings. So I got him above Burrow and Allen. I think Burrow's the better quarterback overall, of course, but I think Jalen Hurts just brings that X factor that I think if we're betting long term, it might be a little bit of a hot take, but if we're betting long term, maybe I bet that Jalen Hurts hits some higher highs over the course of his career. I hope not as a Commanders fan, but that guy's talent is through the roof. So I see no reason for him to be in this second group. But
if you want to come at us for liking Jalen Hurts too much, we'll take that. We'll take that.
Yeah. But if we're looking at the fact that, full resume, longevity, health, etc., he did get hurt towards the end of that season. He doesn't really have more than one excellent year, as good of a year as there's ever been at that position, but more than one great year. I guess that's kind of fair when we compare him to Burrow and Mahomes. I don't know about Josh Allen. I still think I put him above Josh Allen. But I also think this is a little high for your boy, Trevor Lawrence. I love Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a great player. I think this is where he's going to belong next year. But I don't think he's quite there yet.
These tiers are a little weird. When we read the next one, you wouldn't put him in the tier 3 if you.
Well, not next to some of those guys for sure.
Yeah. So, I'm just kind of going, I mean, they're trying to come up with these fancy headline names. But I think the tier is about right for Trevor. Maybe the explanation isn't necessarily right about the tier, but I think he belongs in that group of quarterbacks, and that'll make more sense as we get to the next.
Tell you what, once we get through tier 3, remind me if you can. I don't know if the Roman Coke's interfering a little bit, but remind me, and I will give you my solution to this problem. I think you're gonna like it.
All right,
but remind
I can't
me once
wait.
We get there. So tier 3 is called Intrigue with question marks. And this one is the caption is this is a combo of younger rising stars and veterans who have won at the highest level but can't be totally trusted. There's something lingering in each of these cases, whether it's production or decline or injuries. So there's something going on here. Aaron Rodgers, Matthew Stafford, Tua Tagovailoa, Justin Fields, Daniel Jones, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson. So this is a big tier. A lot of guys, and you can see about half of them are veterans, half of them are young guys trending in the right direction. I have a lot of thoughts about this one. Again, I'll
Yeah,
let you
this
go
is
first,
this is
Pop.
this is the most
This is a little
controversial
crazy
one
to
by
me.
far.
Yeah.
I mean, I just gonna come in hot. I think I kind of get Aaron Rodgers, I get Stafford, I get Tua
There you
because
go. There you go. Breathe deep. Breathe through it. Breathe through it.
because I think I understand the question marks around those guys, but they're all potentially great players when they're on their game and not
Yeah.
being injured. And I think you can't say Aaron Rodgers could join them next year because he's later in their career. Again, it's the weird way they did these tiers. I got that.
Yeah.
Justin Fields and Daniel Jones, to me, they're in tier 5, which,
Wow.
spoiler alert, that's future potential to be can win with them guys, which is tier 4. But I don't, to me, like them being in this tier 3, I don't get that at all. Um, you know, Justin Fields showed flashes, especially Fields, but I just,
Well,
you know,
especially Fields. You have Jones higher than Fields.
no, I said they should both drop to number 5.
But you said especially Fields should drop. So
No, no,
you're
no. I said
saying
I
okay.
I see that
I got it.
Fields
I got it.
showed some
You're saying the
flashes and
you're
some
saying the
potential,
opposite.
but yeah.
Understood. Okay.
And then
I was about to say, you say I
Watson.
love
I don't
Daniel
have an
Jones.
issue with because you would think with his
Yeah.
talent and getting the rust off, he's going to be a top tier quarterback. I don't know what to think about Russell Wilson. I think he needs a special category all to himself, which
Abducted
is,
by aliens.
I mean, I kind of think he belongs in the no clue man tier
Yeah.
6, which
Yeah.
is tier 6 again. Spoiler alert. So I'm bumping Russell down to tier 6. No clue man.
Wow. Wow. Yeah, I mean, when you look at the explanation, everything makes sense. But when you look at the players in a group together, I don't think this group of players belongs together at all. So my solution, I told you I was going to tell you about a solution. My solution here, I think we need a tier in between tier 2 and tier 3. And I think in that tier, we got to put Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Deshaun Watson. And I think those 4 guys go in that tier in between tier 2 and tier 3. And that tier could take the next step.
So this
That
is
would be
this is 2.5.
tier 2.5.
All
And I
right.
would put Tua, Fields, Watson, and Trevor Lawrence in that tier. And those are guys that I think next year we're going to look at them all very different, one way or the other. Then that would leave in tier 3 Rodgers, Stafford, Jones, and Wilson, which are all guys that we probably are not super high on, but might be able to recapture some of what they've had. That's where I think it makes a little more sense there. But overall, I mean, it's hard to look at like Matt Stafford next to Justin Fields. I couldn't think of 2 players more different, heading in more different directions. I mean, Pop, you'd rather have Justin Fields, right? I mean, I think everybody would.
Yeah.
Like, I'm out on Stafford. I think Stafford's done. I think Wilson's done. I think Rodgers.
How old is Matt Stafford?
Oh man, he's up there with Odell. They're roommates over at Riderwood. Yeah, it's I'm out on that. But anyway, so tier 4, you can win with them. And see, this is where I think this gets weird too. Because in what world do you put Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, even Dak Prescott below Russell Wilson and Daniel Jones?
That's what
In
I'm
what
saying.
world?
Not in my world.
That just doesn't.
I already explained it.
It doesn't check out. Yeah, I'm confused about that. So that doesn't make sense to me. I understand we're trying to get a little hot takey here, but yeah. So tier 4, you can win with them. That's Jared Goff, Dak Prescott, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, Jimmy Garoppolo. Another one in here that doesn't make any sense to me. Can you win with Ryan Tannehill? Can you win with Derek Carr? Derek Carr won what, like 4 games last year?
I mean,
Ryan Tannehill, you won with him when Derek
there's
Henry was
levels.
rushing for 2,000
I'll say
yards.
this about this tier to me. There's levels in this tier. I feel like Ryan Tannehill, Derek Carr, and Jimmy Garoppolo are shaky in this tier, mainly because of injury on Garoppolo's part. I think if he's healthy, I think you can win with him as a good tier for him.
Yeah.
But I think those guys are more on shaky ground, where the other ones are pretty solid. I think Kirk, Geno, Dak, Jared, all about the same level of
Yeah.
quarterback. I'd put Captain Kirk at the top of this group clearly, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
Oh, without
Um,
a doubt.
I think he maybe deserves to, if there was a two B, maybe he should be a 3B or 3.5, but
Yeah.
above, separating himself from the rest of that group. But generally, I don't have a major heartburn with this group.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what I still can't get over the like. Russell Wilson was the worst quarterback in the NFL last year by a
I'm
mile.
telling you,
He was
Rush should be in
terrible.
a no clue man.
I can't get
Clearly,
over. I can't get over that. Garoppolo, I like. I think Goff, Prescott, Geno Smith, Kirk Cousins, and Garoppolo. That is a solid five. Those guys belong about together with Kirk and Geno Smith and Prescott probably being towards the top of that. But those five, I think, belong.
where would you
Tannehill and
put
Carr,
Tannehill? No clue man.
I would put Tannehill and Carr the next tier down. I think there's a clear jump
But
there.
they don't
Now,
fit. That's the problem with these
they
tiers
don't
being
fit.
weird. They don't fit the explanation.
I guess I would probably make a like, yeah, I don't know. I would probably make a veteran like probably on the back end of their career tier or something like that. I don't know. It does get weird. Let's go a little bit further down. So the next tier, tier 5, future potential quote can win with them guys. Mac Jones, Kenny Pickett, Brock Purdy. I don't think you can argue with any of these. Mac Jones probably being the least hopeful of the situations. Buddies with Belichick. He's got a real offensive coordinator this year in Bill O'Brien.
I'm
We'll
totally
see.
fine with this list. The one I
Yeah,
think I'd say my hot take is I think Mac Jones. I feel like people are more down on him than they should be. Not
I
that
agree
I
in
think I
general.
think this is the right category for him, at least for another year. If he has
Yeah,
another disappointing year, then I would disagree with that. I'm not so sure. I'm not as convinced about your boy Brock Purdy as a lot of people are. I got to say that honestly.
yeah.
I got to see a lot more.
It's tough.
I
I
don't
mean,
know if it's Brock or if it's Shanahan here, if it's Kyle that's working his magic.
I am fully in the why are we starting Trey Lance group of people. I do like Brock Purdy. I do think what Brock did was both very simple but also harder than it looks, in my opinion. I think being able to always make the right decision to keep your head on your shoulders and to play within your limits is very challenging. I think most great NFL quarterbacks, there's a lot of really talented NFL quarterbacks that can't do that. That being said, he's got a lot of limitations skill wise that Trey Lance does not have. So I don't really understand what's
Let's.
going on
I
there.
wasn't looking for a full film breakdown on Brock, by the way. I just
I mean, I gave you maybe 35 seconds. So I know we're getting a little antsy here on time. I'll, but yeah, I think Brock belongs in this tier. I think you
All
saw
right.
more from Brock Purdy than we've
I
seen from
agree.
Mac Jones and Kenny Pickett in either of their careers so
To
far.
me,
Love Kenny Pickett, by the
he's
way.
the shakiest one in this tier. I'll put it that way for me.
That'll be Mac Jones for me, but we can move on. I love Kenny Pickett. I will say that. I think Kenny
You're
Pickett's
a big
phenomenal.
Kenny Pickett fan.
Big Kenny Pickett guy. Tier 6, no clue, man. No clue. It's self-explanatory. We have no idea what's going on. Kyler Murray, Sam Howell, Jordan Love, Baker Mayfield, Desmond Ritter.
I don't have an
What do you
argument
think,
with
Bob?
those. We're going to talk a little bit more about Sam in a minute for you Commanders fans that have been hanging on. Hopefully, haven't
Yeah.
clicked off yet. But yeah, the only one that I think I take maybe a bit of an issue and could see being bumped up to tier 5 is Kyler. I think that it just got tremendous talent, and he was a tier 2 or 3 guy, solidly just a year or two ago. So he's one I could see that maybe deserves a bump up. But otherwise, I mean, we'll talk about Sam in a minute. You can't really argue with the no clue,
Yeah.
man. We just don't know, right? Until we know.
Yeah.
Some of us are a little more confident, but I'm
Yeah,
cool with it.
I think again, astute analysis for you, Pop. I think Russ Wilson belongs in this tier. Otherwise, everyone else in there is good with me for because everybody's there for kind of different reasons, right? I think the expectations are probably the highest for Jordan Love and maybe Sam Howell even. Um, out of these guys, but you've got Kyler Murray, a guy that was looking like an MVP a few years ago. All of a sudden, after the injury and some of the off the field stuff, just falls all the way down. I think that's right about where Russell Wilson belongs. I think that was a great call. Baker Mayfield, again, it looked like he was poised for a breakout, and instead he went the wrong way. Sam Howell, just too young. We did get a little shout out on the Howell thing here. It says if both Howell and Love were in the NFC postseason, it wouldn't be that shocking, is what he said. So to me, that sounds like he said he wanted to put Howell and Love higher because he thinks they both possess the upside that the public is unnecessarily scoffing at. But there wasn't a spot above the fit, and he certainly wouldn't bet his life on either being a good or great NFL quarterback, especially with the style of play, including their use of their legs. It creates a ceiling floor level you don't see from the tier 5 guys, which I think, I don't know,
Pretty
the last part
non-committal,
of it.
if you ask me.
I mean, pretty clearly this guy doesn't like quarterbacks who use their legs because how low he ranked Jalen Hurts. So that makes a lot of sense. But I think I agree with him. I think Howell and Love are probably the guys you would expect to perform the best out of this group by just a little bit. But no clue is the perfect placement for me. So, and then of course the rookies are in tier 7 because you can't rank them. Bryce Young, C.J. Stroud, Anthony Richardson. He just felt like the need to say that Tom Brady could maybe come back. Tom Brady's dating Kim Kardashian. He's not coming back. Tier X. So yeah, that's that. Pop, where do you think Sam Howell could land this time next year on this tier list?
Well, I think if it all goes where you think you want it to, like I said, the list is weird, but I would
Yeah.
say tier 3 would be the ceiling for Sam. Can't quite jump him up to tier 2, but
Yeah.
I think if you, I would say tier 3 is if you're putting Justin Fields and Daniel Jones in tier 3. I think that you could definitely envision if things go well, that's a group that you could put Sam Howell in.
Yeah.
A year from now, again, if it goes well.
I really like the Justin Fields comp, not for play style, but for if you look at the way his season went last year. Started off a little bit shaky at the beginning of the year. They stuck with him. They believed in the talent. And then all of a sudden, he kind of had one breakout game. And by the end of the year, it's like, wow, this guy could take a huge leap in his second year.
Huge.
I think I would love to see that for Howell. And I think
I agree.
similarly for Jordan Love, Jacoby Brissett.
Well, let me. I got a Sam Howell point, if you don't mind, before we go on to Jacoby. All right, because we're going to say what tier would we put Jacoby in, right? If Jacoby was a starter, but yeah, I was thinking about this a lot. When we talk about Sam Howell, we try to predict, right? And I think No Clue Man and the comments, that were made by this gentleman that wrote the article were perfect, right? And that he's got that potential. Wouldn't shock anybody if he climbs that rankings. Will Brinson, by the way, is the article writer. Just give some credit there. But I think the thing is, what I want to make clear for myself, and I think you fall in this category, we're bought in on Sam Howell being the quarterback of the Commanders and him getting this opportunity. It makes perfect sense. We hope he wins the quarterback battle. I'm not sure how much of a battle it really is, although I think it's not a battle. The reason it's not so much of a battle is that Howell's continued to, establish himself as that number one guy and show enough of improvement. So we're all in on Sam being the quarterback. I just don't want the folks to get it twisted.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with you on that. So where would we put if we did not start Sam Howell? Which is still a possibility. We shouldn't dismiss that possibility. If Jacoby Brissett wins this job, where do you put him on this tier list?
4. You can win with him. You can win with him.
I agree. I think I would put him. We've talked about bumping certain guys down to tier 5, but it doesn't make sense because tier 5 is called future potential. But I think if you made a tier in between tier 4 and tier 5 for the veterans that are just a little bit less than guys like Jared Goff, Geno Smith, I would put him in that tier. I'd put him right between 4 and 5, personally. I think like tier 4.5. I would take any one of these guys other than Tannehill over him, taking out contracts and all that. But I think he can play at that level with those other guys.
Yeah, and the more I think of it, I think I got to bump Kirk up to tier 3.
I think so too. I mean,
I think you got to
Kirk
bump Kirk up to tier 3. I don't mean to backtrack because we talk a little bit Commanders, but
we could talk about this.
No,
all
I mean,
day.
I think it's super encouraging that Jacoby, we're thinking that highly of him, because if Sam does fall, you got a guy that we think we can win with. That's the bottom line. It's the definition of it. And, I think if you've got guys like, even though I do really like Geno Smith, we'll see, can he sustain it for longer than the 1 year? You got a guy like Ryan Tannehill, which we're not too high on. Jimmy and Derek got all kinds of question marks surrounding them. Yeah, I think tier 4 is fair for Jacoby.
Yeah. I think that'd be about fair. I'm with you on that. I'm with you. I think tier 4 is a good spot. So let's hit some Commanders news and notes. We're gonna go
major upgrade over last year's quarterback room. Bottom line, major.
Oh yeah, I mean night and day. I don't think Taylor Heineke even makes this roster, honestly, let alone Carson Wentz. Well, I mean, Carson Wentz did not make this roster.
Those of you who are new to the podcast, please go back and listen to earlier episodes and the arguments we had about Taylor. That's all I'm going to say. I'm not going to say on who was on what side of the argument.
I was big on Taylor last year because we had no other option.
Go back.
Taylor was the best option.
Some great stuff, juicy stuff.
Look, man, just go back and watch Week 18 if you want to know which quarterback was the best option for us last year. Or Week 17.
Sorry. There you go. Slinging Sammy.
Slinging Sammy. There we go. So, Commanders news and notes. Rapid fire. We're going to go through this kind of quick for the sake of time.
Juicy nuggets in here.
There's some juicy little nuggets in here. But we're going to try and kind of breeze through these because it is July at the end of the day. So, Commanders players were working out in Florida. There was a big kind of just, I guess, hang, kind of like not official workout, but just the guys kind of getting together to build some chemistry kind of vibes, right? Among those guys, Terry McLaurin, Sam Howell, Jacoby Brissett, Jahan Dotson, De'Ami Brown, Marcus Kemp, Brian Robinson, Jarrett Patterson, John Bates, and Jonathan Williams. I'll tell you right now, I think Jarrett Patterson and Jonathan Williams being there is very interesting because I don't think there's any world in which both of them are on the roster next year. But what
do we think about Curtis Samuel's passing on this thing? Stir up a little controversy here?
No controversy at all. Curtis Samuel is
I think it's a little bit.
I don't care. Curtis Samuel, it's July. This is when these guys are Pop's trying to stir the pot, but this is the time of the year where guys are hanging out with their families, having lives, being people outside of the sport. So I don't blame Curtis Samuel for this. He's also going into a contract year, and let's call a spade a spade. He might not have a home in Washington after this year. We'll see. But it just doesn't matter to me. I don't care, I guess. I'm not too concerned about Curtis Samuel.
So this quickly,
are you concerned, Pop?
Not really. We'll just kind of trying to stir it up a little. But Terry McLaurin's quote I thought was really good. And courtesy of Nikki Jabala does a great job covering the team. It was really the quarterback, Sam and Jacoby. So seeing those two linked together. What's been cool is they've been working hand in hand. I think Jacoby brings a veteran presence, so he kind of knows what the offseason looks like, trying to make things come together. They were telling us before we've even got out of OTAs that they were going to hit us up and get everybody together. So you're getting this pretty strong endorsement. They went to dinner together and all that from your captain, from your future potentially Hall of Famer Terry McLaurin. That's pretty strong. But, these offseason things, they probably get more hype than they deserve at the end of the day.
Yeah. Saw a little crazy headline there. Maybe we can get into in next week as I'm scrolling through this article here about another quarterback linked to the Commanders potentially. But yeah,
Teaser.
I agree. I think it is. I think it's pretty cool just seeing the guys get together. I mean, this certainly wasn't happening with Carson Wentz. I tell you that much. And I know that one of the things that kind of really makes me attracted to the whole Sam Howell situation is, and the combination of him with Jacoby Brissett. Brissett is known around the league as one of the best locker room guys you can have. Period. People love that guy. And Sam last year was talked about not in the same way, obviously, he wasn't in that position, but JP at one point, I can't remember when, but he kind of broke it down and he said, like, look, he's one of the guys in the locker room. And sometimes with quarterbacks, it can kind of go a couple different ways, right? You have the guys like Mahomes that they're just one of the guys, they're hanging out, they're the boys. And then you have the other guys, maybe a little bit more the Brady types that are like the general, that guy runs it, blah, blah, blah. And Sam, it sounds like, is one of the boys. He fits in. They love him. He's comfortable in the locker room, whatever. And I think that is when you look at some of the things we struggled with last season with Wentz, you could tell. I mean, the defense would play worse when Carson Wentz was the quarterback.
I think
because they just
I don't
knew.
remember whether
Like,
they did one of these last year or not, but I remember specifically a quote from Wentz saying he thought they were overrated and not a big deal. I definitely remember him saying that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty much, interpreted for I don't really feel like investing my time in doing that. But I think it's a super smart move by Jacoby, right? Because he knows that although, the team is behind Sam, it's a super fragile situation, right? I mean, if he doesn't perform or he falls down, it's going to be a short leash. It's going to be a quick trigger. We've said that, we've said that previously. Neither Ron or Eric Bieniemy, these are make or break years for both of them in a sense. So there's gonna be a quick trigger, and Jacoby building that confidence in the rest of the players like this, and being such a team guy, even though that seems to be his nature anyway. It is super smart.
Well, you know what another thing I think he's thinking about? Let me introduce you to a man named Chad Henne. Where was Chad Henne? Kansas City. For how long? Since before Odell Beckham Jr. was born. If you remember, Odell Beckham Jr. is 96 years old. So he was in Kansas City for about a century. And who was over in Kansas City? Eric Bieniemy. All that to say, I think Jacoby's also looking at going, hey, if Howell is elite and I establish myself as like somewhere between a coach player and we know he can get it done if Howell goes down and gets hurt, I might have another 6-7 years of job security as the best job in America, which is a backup NFL quarterback. So I think all those things are playing into each other. Really love bringing Jacoby Brissett into the situation. I think it's brilliant. Let's move on. I think number 2, Antonio Gibson. Is he ready for a breakout season? Do we think he could break out this year? He's made comments about he wants to line up at wide receiver. He says he hasn't shown his position. He was a wide receiver coming out of college. They kind of converted him to running back. I have been high on Antonio Gibson, incredibly high since we got him. I know Pop and I have gone back and forth about that sometimes, but I love this. I think this guy.
I think there's a very strong possibility he's the feature back this year. I really do. I really do. I'll just leave it at that. But I agree. Barring injury, I think that you've heard his name. He's one of the few players that Bieniemy has actually called out and said, "There's a guy with a lot of talent that we want to take advantage of more."
Yeah,
and I think him Brian and Curtis Samuel too. I think you're going to see Samuel used. That versatility that he had, you're going to see him out of the backfield, and we're going to see some good things. But I'm most excited about this, and to see him make these quotes is great.
Yeah, I'm super into Antonio Gibson. I think he showed. First of all, I just think he's incredibly talented. I think in a lot of other systems, if he landed in a lot of other places around the NFL, I think we'd be looking at this guy as one of the best backs in the league, personally.
No place he'd rather be than right here, right now, son.
Would love to have him right here, right now. 100% agree. But I'm saying talent-wise, I think this guy is as good as some of the guys we've seen break out the last few years. I just don't think he's
It was a
been in the
major
right system.
position transition for him, and I think he talks about that in the article, right? He just talks
Yeah,
about how, he says, I love being out there, and he's having a great deal of fun. But he says, it's really that guy, at running back. He's going to say it's not impossible, but making that transition from receiver to running back, we've seen it go the other way a little bit more, like a Curtis
yeah,
Samuel. So it's a very difficult transition, and he kind of references that in his quotes.
yeah. And you know what? Speaking of Curtis Samuel, real quick, I'm glad he's not at those workouts because let's just keep that guy's hamstrings and calves and Achilles tendons. Let's just
He's,
keep them
he's
as
probably
fresh
in
as
the
possible.
he's probably in the cold tub right now.
Yeah, cold tub, then sauna, then cold tub, then sauna, then cold tub, then sauna every day until the season starts, and then double it when the season starts. Anyways, when you guys are watching this, we should be 3 days from the official sale of the Commanders. Depending on how that's handled, we're going to kind of determine how we handle it on our end. But it's looking like right now it's going to go through. I know there's been a little bit of apprehension, a little bit
Who
of
knows?
nerves, and knowing our luck, at about 10:30 Eastern time, since we said it's going to go through, there will be some bad news. But I think it's going to be okay. Personally, for me, I never really reacted too hard to it at the beginning because I just thought they're trying to just get the last little bit of story that they can get out of it. That's
Well,
that's what
I think
everybody's trying to
you've
do.
heard the headline. We can get into the details of it, but Dan's
No,
making some last minute noise. Apparently, his sister's making some last minute noise. But AJ Perez, who's been at the front of this thing the whole time, and I think
yeah,
has just done some terrific reporting about this. Shout out to AJ. I'm not going to read the whole quote. I'd encourage you to go check it out on Twitter or just do a Google search. But he feels pretty confident it's going through. He feels pretty confident. Even I saw a tweet from JP Finley who said essentially the same thing, that Dan's just trying to do some last minute negotiations. And I think I've thought this, and JP said it first, but I was thinking it before I saw that was, you got to walk away from $6 billion. Don't you want that money sooner rather than later? So I tend to lean towards it's last minute posturing, but anything's
yeah.
possible.
If Dan duffs on this, the chances of the owners voting him out
He's not going to duff.
exponentially
He
increase.
might
It's not
delay.
going to happen.
He might
It's
delay.
not going to happen.
Yeah.
He knows he can't do it. And this is a six. We can't understand as mere mortals the magnitude of a $6 billion transaction. This is fine. It's all going to be fine. Everybody.
Well, he
relax.
says this is
all
the
going to be
key
fine.
quote. He says, despite the rumblings, this is from AJ Perez, two
Here we go.
sources with knowledge of the situation told Front Office Sports that any issues are expected to be resolved ahead of next Thursday's vote.
There
I'm
you
betting
go.
on AJ. I'm betting on AJ.
Great breakdown.
I'm
Great
buying
breakdown.
AJ.
Buying AJ. Love it. There you go. So, without further ado, I say we wrap this thing up, Pop. This has been another great episode. Guys, if you're still watching at this point, clearly you're enjoying it. Hit that subscribe button. I mean, what's going on? What's going on? Hit that subscribe button at this point. You hang with us for 37 minutes and you're not going to subscribe? It's ridiculous. Come on. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell. Do the thing. Like, comment. Let us know you still been here. Let's wrap this thing up. Without further ado, I've been Dom.
This is Pop.
Thanks for another great one.